Hi, this is Dr. Bharadwaz. I am CEO and homeopathy doctor at Fidicus Homeopathy. Coming to structure and function of the brain. So there are some important brain structure and function you have to understand before going deeply into the further session. There are three main parts in the brain or three main structures of the brain that are going to be affected because of the cerebral palsy. First one is cerebral cortex. We will see that what is cerebral cortex. Especially there are different types of cortex. In that cortex, the special one involved is cerebral cortex and also basal ganglion. Basal ganglion is also structure within the brain that is going to be impacted or damaged because of cerebral palsy, and also cerebellum. So these are the three important structure we will learn about it. So what is the structure of cortex, basal ganglia, cerebellum, and what are their functions? When we study this, what will happen is we can understand if this damage, this function is lost. If this is damaged, this function is lost. If this is damaged, this function is lost. So you can go deep into it. First structure we have to understand is cerebral cortex. What is cerebral cortex? Cerebral cortex is the gray matter. See, this is the cross section of the brain. I'm standing here and think that my brain is cut exactly in this coronal section. So, and I see the brain. You can see here, this is the brain structure. See, this is all white here inside, right? And this is all white here. Inside is white and outside is gray. Gray color is the accumulation of neurons. Neurons means body of the neurons. So there is a nerve cell. Nerve cell will have a body and it will have small extensions, axons and dendrons. These axons and dendrons are white color, and the body of the nervous system or the body of the nerves is present in this gray matter. This gray matter is known as cerebral cortex, especially on the upper part. All this gray matter you can see here, right? So this is known as cerebral cortex. This is the gray matter that is known as cerebral cortex. So what are the functions? Why do we need this cerebral cortex? First one is voluntary movements. When you want to move or when you want to catch something, pick something, so you are doing it on your will. So that is the voluntary movement. That voluntary movements are from this cerebral cortex. And also planning of the movements. Before, for example, I want to catch something, right? I want to take a pen. I need to plan it in my brain. Even though you don't think, you have to plan. So I need to put my hand here and pick up the pen. Even that planning is done by this cerebral cortex. And execution of movements. Once you plan, you have to execute, you have to contract certain muscles, you have to relax certain muscles. All this execution is done by cerebral cortex. And also control of the movements. It is not that I put my hand very fast and take the pen or book. It has to be coordinated. The movement has to be coordinated and controlled. Even the control and coordination of the movements is done by this cerebral cortex. Fine tuning based on the sensory input. So when I am moving or when I am taking something, so there can be fire in between or there can be some chemicals in between. So I will take lot of sensory input from the nature, and if there is a fire, I will be moving my hand away from the fire and taking the pen. So based on the sensory inputs, I can adjust my movements and then take something. That is known as based on the sensory input. So all these are controlled by this cerebral cortex. Okay. So when there is damage to the cerebral cortex, so all this will be impaired. That is the important one you need to know. Next important structure is basal ganglion. Basal ganglion, you can see it is in the middle of the brain. It is deep inside. So there are different nucleus. Nucleus means nucleus is the accumulation of some nerve body within the white matter. So there are a lot of structures in the middle of the brain. These different structures are known as basal ganglion. So what is the function of this basal ganglion? If this basal ganglion is damaged, what will happen to different types of functions? What are those functions? First one is initiation of movement. So to initiate the movement, you want to start the movement, then basal ganglion is necessary. And also control the speed of the movements. So if I want to take the pen, I cannot move it so fast, right? I need to control that. So speed of the movements is controlled by basal ganglion. And also execution of smooth movement. So if I am doing fine art, like I am painting something, so I am screwing something, or I am doing something with my fingers that is very fine. Not normally artists do it. Those fine movements are coordinated because of this basal ganglia. When there is a damage to this basal ganglia, all this initiation of the movements, control of the speed of the movements, and also execution of smooth movements will be lost due to damage of basal ganglia. Next one is cerebellum. Cerebellum is exactly located at the back of the skull, especially here. So normally people call in layman language as small brain. You can see this. This is the cerebellum. When there is damage to the cerebellum, these things are lost. And you can consider these are the functions of cerebellum. First one is tone. So your muscle should not be too tight or too loose. There should be control, or it should be somewhere in between. That is known as tone. That is controlled by cerebellum. And also balance. So when you are walking, when you are sitting, when you are standing, or when you are doing some activity, so you need to have balance in your body. If you don't have balance in your body, you fall down. So that balance is maintained or coordinated with the help of cerebellum. And also coordination. See, to do a work, different muscle has to be coordinated. So if I am punching someone, my left hand should go back and right hand should come front, right? There is some balance or coordination between my hands. And also when I am moving forward, I take my weight from the back of the leg to the front of the body. So all this coordination is carried out by cerebellum. When there is damage to the cerebellum, tone of the muscle is lost, your balance is lost, and your coordination is lost. So this is the importance of cerebellum in our body.